Alright, are we having fun yet? So if you're looking for a little machine to have as a hobby, I highly recommend laser cutting over 3D printing, because your chance of getting it right with a laser cutter is way higher than 3D printing. That is a lot of trial and error and a lot of waste. Speaking of trial and error, let's see if this thing fits. Like a glove. Look at that. Bruh. Okay, so that's the center where the thing will get mounted. Did I leave one? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I left one. That's 12. We're looking for 25.4 if we want an inch. So 3 more on that side, 3 more on that side. Yeah, I guess we don't need that much of a gap. I could cut some with a square in there, but no channel. 2 on each side with no channel. And like that, I'm back with a little movie magic. Beautiful. No channel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so this is the total setup, and I don't have a hole in this yet, and obviously this isn't glued up yet, but we've got, how many is that? It's going to be about 22 millimeters, and you see the channel there. So I've got the blanks, I've got some that hold the rivet nut without the channel, the ones that hold the rivet nut with the channel, and there's only enough of a channel to get the set screw in there, and it'll engage with the threads and then come through. And there's not a hole in this yet, but when there's a hole in here, the cable goes inside this, the set screw will go through, come in through the hole in the tube, and compress the cable, locking the knob to the cable to control the skeg. So this is how I'm going to do it, and once it's all glued together, I'll shape it up a little bit and probably stain it, but that's what I got, so I think that'll work. Huh. I'm doing this knob in 3 sections so that I am able to drip some epoxy down into the hole on the outer 2 levels to fill them, so that I can come back and drill to the exact size. And I'm only doing it to the outer 2 because I don't want to risk clogging up the threading on the rivet nut inside the middle. Does that make sense? What happens. Okay, we're going to connect one of the pieces of the control knob to the middle, and then I'm going to clamp that together and then fill this taped off section with epoxy, and hopefully that'll keep it from going into this channel and getting into the threads. And I think I'd better thicken it a little bit before I do it, just to help it not run in there. I don't want to risk that filling up. And of course, I mixed it a little bit too thick, so I gotta smash it in there, see if I can get it to squeeze through. Hopefully I don't mess it all up. Okay, it looks like it's coming through pretty good. Alright, we'll get that clamped together, and then after this sets, I can come back and do the top. And then we'll drill all the way through. I might drill through first and clean up, make sure that channel's clear, and then we'll glue on the top piece. And then after all of that's done, we'll drill one more hole through that epoxy so that it can ride on the tube. Alright, cool. There we go. Alright, now that that thing is coming together, I'm going to file down this and we'll get it drilled out and ready for the next piece to get glued on. Okay, I'll drill out inside of this epoxy. So this is the control knob all glued together, and I want to get it cleaned up, and I'll sand in a bevel on these sharp sides. It's not too terribly exact, but I kind of like it. Just sort of what we're going for. We're cleaned up a little bit better now, so I can stain it. And I think instead of trying to hold it and wipe it with the stain, I think I'm going to try to cheat. Wish me luck. Got a little cup apart. And my stain. Well, that's one way to get some stain on a piece of wood. I'm going to end up with this stuff in my eyeballs. Okay. I'm just going to let that dry. Just right there on the cup. I don't know if I like the way it looks on the sides, but I can always sand that back down and maybe just leave the sides bright. We'll see. I don't know. Just cut a bunch of 1-inch circles out of wood, and then I'll take them out of this thing. See if I can't use them as my walls. Now we'll take a couple of those. I only need 2, so we'll take the best 2. Alright, some of these will work. Now I want the whole thing to be 4.5 inches, but since I'm using these, I'm going to give myself a 1/4 inch on each side for overlap. So these sticks will all need to be 5 inches long. I'm going to use the tube to actually make the box on, and then I'll try not to glue it to the tube because then I'll slide it off, but this will keep it all straight. Alright, cool. There we go. Okay, that'll do. It looks like I only need 5 of them. That'll work just like that. Okay, now I need clamps. I could probably just hit these seams with some crazy glue just to help it, and then I can take that rod out and start epoxying. That's not even very difficult. That's great. Okay. I think Good luck finding leopard print Q-tips, and if you cannot find them, you won't be able to do this just at all. It has to be leopard print. Yeah, well, they're stupid jokes, but they're jokes. Okay. Now I'm looking through it to see if it's straight. Okay. That means it's gotta be straight. I mean, really, that's gotta be straight. Yeah. We're gonna glue it, just like that. Peanut butter. Make sure that inside is nice and clean. I think it's looking pretty darn good. Cool. Alright, let's quit while we're ahead. Alright, so back over here in the corner, we're going to get some glass on the outside of the control box for the retractable skeg. We'll glass the outside, and then when this sets, we will flip it over and glass the inside. I'm also going to get some extra epoxy onto the knob. I put one coat on and it soaked it right up in there, so we'll add some more. Now, I don't usually like finger painting, but that's what we're going to do on this little piece. Just get enough on there to get it to start talking to it, and we'll get it to fill in those gaps. Okay, I'll get some more on this knob. Okay. Now, just the trick is knowing when to quit. So I'll just let this stuff sit and get back to it after a little while. Well, that ain't easy getting it in there without pulling it up, but that's about what it looks like. So we'll let that set and get it cut off. Yeah. Okay, let's quit while we're ahead. Alright, the glass is set inside the Skeg control box, so we'll go ahead and get this trimmed up and see what this whole thing is going to look like. Okay, so once again, this is the actual cable that will run inside the plastic tube. And for now, we're just going to take a look. So the cable runs inside this little tube. And you can see it inside of that hole. Now the control knob rides on this tube, but first we got to slide it into the box. Okay. So into the box, control knob will go on inside the box. So there it goes there. It goes up into the other side. Now, you need a bunch of hands because the first thing you want to do is get the control knob to engage with just the hole in the tube, but not the cable, because we still want to adjust the length for the skeg. So we'll tighten the screw down until we feel the rod back off a little bit, find the hole, and put it into the hole in the rod. Okay, so it stopped, it's on the rod. I'll back it off. Okay, now I'll just slide it a little bit until it's on that hole. And we're just guessing right about there. Okay. So that still moves, but I think that's engaged with the hole. Does it go any further? It does not. So let's see if we can, might have gone too far. There it is, I feel it. You can feel it's loose, but it doesn't move up and down because the set screw is now inside the hole on the rod. So when we adjust the length of the cable for the retractable skeg, you know, we might want to do it with it all the way forward or something like that. Okay, but then we'll tighten this down further and we should hear the crunching of the cable inside the tube. Okay, that's good and tight. And now when I slide it, we should see the cable going up and down. Okay, that's it. That's the whole thing. So now I got to get this box installed on the deck, and I'm going to need to figure out where I want it because that really hasn't been determined yet. But we're doing good. Okay. When it comes time to install this whole thing on the finished boat, it might be a bit of a pain, so I'm going to do a little bit of a cheat right now to help me out. I'm going to set the screw inside the tube in the right position. I can feel it locked on there. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and set that down. And now, with a Sharpie, I'm just going to mark right on the edge of the tube. And that'll help me later on when it's time to install. Okay. Thinking the slot's going to go somewhere around here, but I want to make sure that it's not going to mess with my knees. So I'm going to pull out one of the old boats with an almost identical deck and see where my legs go and see what I might be able to do here for the positioning. I don't want it to go into the seam. So here to here is what I'm working with. Here it could mess with the hip brace. So we got to look at that too. It might not. We'll see. Wrench in my back. Well, now that I've thrown my back out and I can't really move, at least until much later, I've had a bit of a time to reflect on the order of operations that I'm doing here. And I think it'd be best to wait, at least until much later, to cut the slot for the Skeg control knob. I'm going to do the deck and hull connection first because I don't want anything in the way of a good smooth seam all the way up and down the boat. So I'll get it all connected well, and then I'll do the control knob slot, and then after that I'll figure out what I can do with the hip brace in relation to the box, because I might just put it right in the way of the hip brace and then I can see what I have to do to the hip brace to get it to work. That's fine. So I'm going to wrap it up here for the retractable Skeg control. So thank you very much for watching. I hope it was informative. It was a learning experience for me, but I think we have everything figured out, except of course for the final position, but we're going to do that after it's all one piece. So if you haven't subscribed yet, there's more to come, so I'd appreciate it. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye. Ow.